What's up? Welcome to the People Exchange. I'm your host, April Burton Welch. I've been working in HR for the past 15 years, manufacturing to be exact, and it's a lot that goes on. A little bit of background about me and why I started this podcast. So, a little bit about me. Born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, went to Eastern Michigan University. I got an undergrad degree in healthcare administration, so it was never really focused toward HR to begin with. As a matter of fact, I knew nothing about HR. I just knew that I wanted to work. I wanted to develop myself. I wanted to grow. And I couldn't do that. I couldn't find that in healthcare administration, at least not right off the bat. So it did take a little bit of research, a little bit of time for me to try to figure out what I wanted to do. And then I decided, hey, what coincides with the health administration degree? And I'm like, maybe I'll do HR. I like people, and that's what I thought about, but I didn't know that it would get so deep that I would have to, I started dreading people at one point. But anyway, that's me getting a little bit too far too soon. So I got that undergrad degree. After I got my undergrad degree in healthcare administration, I went back to school and I got a master's degree in human resources and organizational development. Prior to that, I did get a graduate certificate in human resources. And after my master's degree program, I did pursue a program at University of South Florida in diversity, equity, and inclusion. I did that during COVID, so it was at home, but it was still very beneficial, and I was able to incorporate that background into my HR background and then basically run with it on a day-to-day. HR is no easy field. It gets tough. You have your labs, you have your ups, you have your downs, but at the end of the day, it's all about the business. It's about the employee, and it's about you too. You got to be able to remove yourself or put yourself in certain situations. And if you can't show empathy, especially working with a people culture like I do, I work with the people. I'm not just sitting in corporate. It's really important to just be able to interact, to be able to engage, to understand your people in your business. So it takes time, and you have to be somebody that can show that they can get along with just about anybody. They can take themselves out of situations, remove personal feelings, and just place themselves there, coming in with an unbiased attitude and being able to pursue what you're trying to do. Again, HR is definitely no joke, and I have stories for days. So why I started my podcast is because so much goes on. So much is unheard. So many voices need to be heard. And I hear a little bit too much sometimes. And I can't come home every day and talk to my partner about what's going on at work, especially about the stressful stuff. I feel like I shouldn't have to be a full-fledged, hey, this is what happened. And, it's just so much that I want to get out. So now I just started writing things down and kind of journaling and trying to figure out, you know, what can be shared, what can't be shared, what's triggering me, what's triggering the employee. So it's like, let's take a deeper dive. Let's share these experiences because it's some nitty-gritty truth out here that people need to hear. So what I'm here to do is I'm going to be your HR guru. I'm going to be your inside source for everything that they don't want you to know about the workplace, from sex, drugs, and office shenanigans to navigating corporate politics and chasing your own business dreams. Nothing is off limits here. So buckle up because it's time to uncover the messy, the raw, and the real inside work. This is the People Exchange, and I'm your host, April K. So let's get into it. Let's just dive into it. I work in HR. I am not your friend if you come to my office. I work in HR. I have to act like I care what you're talking about, even if I don't. I work in HR. Of course, I'm trained to show empathy, but I'm a true empath, so I show empathy anyway. I work in HR. Let's get this out the way. I am not your friend. I know. It may seem crazy. It may seem like, we trust HR, we do this, we do that. It is perfectly fine for you to trust HR. I'm not saying don't trust HR. My employees definitely trust me, but just know that there are things that we have to do as HR people that benefit the business, that also benefit you, but we're always thinking about the business. So it doesn't matter. I'm the person, yes, that plans the holiday parties. Yes, I'm the person that'll, bring lunch out. Yes, I'm the person that, does your new hire orientation, updates your paperwork, calls you to the office if you got a family emergency, listens to all your stories, knows a lot of your drama that I shouldn't know. I'm that person. And it's okay. It's a lot of people like me. It's a lot of HR people that are here to support the people. That's what we're here to do. But at the end of the day, don't be silly, y'all. It's about the business. And if you ever felt like, hey, I trusted this person and now XYZ knows, now a manager is called, now this is going, now I'm part of an investigation, it's because we have to tell. Because the last thing we need is somebody to sit and say, I told this person and they didn't do anything. I told the HR manager, they didn't do anything. No one wants their job on the line, and I'm not risking my job for any of my employees ever. So if you do tell me something, unfortunately, depending on what it is, I may have to escalate the situation. But that's any HR professional. That's anybody in the workplace. And depending on what it is and what we need to do on the back end and what what could come out of it, it really just depends on what it is. We're here to protect the company, again, not you. And that's something you're going to continue to hear me say throughout my podcast series. Like, we're here to protect the company and not you. And the sooner you understand this, the better you'll be able to navigate through any workplace. Keep in mind, people start their own drama. Earlier in my HR career, I had an employee that needed to talk to me, like, hey, April, I really need to talk to you. They were frustrated, they were venting, teary-eyed, and they were venting about their manager. So of course, I pull out my notebook, do what I got to do, and they told me everything: how unfair the manager was, how they felt targeted, how they felt no one could support them, and most importantly, how they trusted me. And so that, once they trust you, you can ask those prying questions. And if it's an employee that, is vulnerable to the situation, of course, they're going to feed into your prying questions and they're going to begin to answer them. And they'll probably give you additional details that you don't even need to know, that they shouldn't have shared. It's just the simple fact that once you have that, add that personable touch to the situation, your employees are going to trust you. But why? So let's say that employee, they left my office, and I thought about what I had to do. You write down your notes, but within probably several minutes of them leaving the office, I was behind a closed door with the manager, the plant manager, and that employee's supervisor, as well as a manager, trying to figure out what is going on. Because at this point, we have a situation that can be escalated. We have a situation that could be possible harassment. I have a situation where if my employee makes one call to, corporate, or escalates above me, then we're going to have a full-fledged internal investigation going on. So now as a team, we've got to figure out what's happening on the back end. No, I'm not saying cover it up. Not at all, because I'm not a cover-up girly. What I am going to do is I'm going to try to get to the bottom of it. So we talk to the employees. We talk to the managers. We're trying to figure out some things. But keep in mind, my job is to protect the company. That's my job. My job is to protect the company, but for the betterment of the bigger business, but still keeping the employee at heart, because I need to protect this employee too. But the bigger picture is always going to be the business at the end of the day. And as long as you're protecting the business, you're seen in the eyes of HR as okay, you're following proper procedures. But some situations is not all about the business. So this situation that happened with my employee and I was definitely a case of harassment. I reassured the employee that they were safe. The employee did trust me. So with that being said, that employee, I'm like, go back to work. We're going to try to handle some things on the back end. That employee did not know I was going to pull all those people behind a closed door and have a discussion, but it's my duty to. I'm not going to continue to let somebody get harassed. No, we're going to figure out what's going on. Bring the manager in. The manager, supervisor, we're talking. I'm asking questions. I'm asking probing questions, questions that they feel uncomfortable asking. We need to get down to the bottom of the situation. You want to know the inside scoop, you're asking questions, you're pulling other employees, you're doing character checks, judgment checks, you're questioning the supervisor, you're questioning the manager, you're seeing who's in on it, you're seeing who knows about it. And at the end of the day, that particular situation, yes, it was harassment, but the supervisor ended up getting terminated just due to some things that was going on. It ended up not being just one young lady. After talking to a few others, it was some other things that was going on. So that's why it's really important to get down to the nitty gritty, to observe, to understand different behaviors, to understand your employees. You need to know what's going on, but you also need to warn the business what's going on, because it may be that in the business's best interest to get rid of that supervisor. It may be in the business's best interest. Hey, if the employee's lying, let's get this employee out of here. It may be the business's best interest to conduct a full-fledged investigation, because we need to protect what's going on, so we won't have any type of media leaks, so there won't be any inside escalations, so it won't cause a hostile workplace, so we won't have legal involved. It's so much shit that goes on in the workplace. You guys just won't believe it. So that's why I want to take a deeper dive into HR and what goes on behind those closed doors. It's differences between the corporate HR and plant HR. And I've been in, I don't know if I mentioned this before to y'all, but I've been in plant HR for 15 years. I've never stepped foot in corporate HR. Now, I could be a corporate girly if I needed to, but that's not where I want to be. I'm comfortable in a plant. I'm comfortable with my employees head on, face to face, seeing what's going on, digging, diving, just knowing what I'm doing. I'm not behind a desk. I'm not living in policies and procedure land. I'm plant HR. I'm in the trenches basically. I'm breaking up fights. I'm dealing with people showing up late, showing up intoxicated. I'm handling real messy the human side of things. At the plant, you see it all. And then it blows up right on the floor, or it may blow up right in your office, or it may blow up in the parking lot before the gate opens. And then it becomes your business, becomes my business. And it's frustrating. But sometimes navigating through the ins and outs, and like I call it the trenches, because it's not a simple thing. Some things aren't simple fixes. We get situations where Miss April, my uncle just got shot 3 times. It's on the news right now. I need to leave work. I have all these points. Miss April, this is going on. It was a fire last night. Here's the pictures. I've had situations where it was a fire. Here's the pictures. And then you Google the image and the image is in Canada. I've had situations. I've had all types of craziness. So drugs, lies, sex, just about anything. Trust me, it's just, it gets talking about. But what to look forward to? What can you look forward to with the people exchange? We're going to talk about workplace drama. So where office romance turns into a love triangle and HR has to pick up the pieces. Employees caught hooking up in the break room, the bathroom, the car in the parking lot, lots of stuff. The one manager that treated their whole team like a dating pool. Or what about that prostitution ring? It was my first workplace investigation. Well, I participated, I took notes in. That's the one I thought I was going to run, but it's actually the one that ended up keeping me intrigued and wanting to work on the day to day and understand employee relations and handle that type of issue. Um, because it's only so much that goes on in the workplace on a day to day, but then you've got everything in between. Sex and shenanigans. Employee shows up hired drunk at work. What do I do? Shit. What have I done? I can't count on both. I need more than two hands to count the number of reasonable suspicion cases that I've had to handle over the last 15 years in the plant. The numerous deaths that I've seen in the plant. And it's like not people being killed, but just people afraid to leave the line. And then you find out all this stuff was going on the back end, and they were told by the supervisor not to leave. And the next thing you know, they die on the line or on the way to the ER because they found out they were at their last point, so they chose not to leave. It's just things like that. The people exchange, I feel I want it to be intense. I want you to enjoy it. I also want it to be educational. Just because work is not easy for anybody. Anything can go wrong, anything can go south. You may seem like you're having the best day ever. Like, I know how to do my job, yes, but I never know what my employees are going to tell me. I know how to do my job, yes, but I don't know what they may have to say to me at any given time. I know how to do my job, yes, but sometimes I don't even want to know what they have to say. And this is why I have the people exchange. If you've got questions, feel free to message them or write them below. I haven't gotten my email and all that stuff up and running yet, but as soon as I do, you guys can definitely post your questions, concerns, and I'll gladly answer them. I'll start off by answering questions, and I'll get into the podcast, or I may go to the end. But thanks for joining. Bye.